I want to welcome you to the Star K. I think it's your first time here.
Second.
Okay, second time. So you know that the Star K, this is the headquarters of the Star K. It's the place where everything that happens at the Star K begins here. And we're worldwide, all over the place, literally the whole world. We even have offices in China. If any of you ever want to learn Chinese, you can get a job.
Mandarin.
You speak Mandarin? Okay. You speak it? Okay, good enough. Anyway, so Rabbi Shulman asked us to do a presentation for you. I figured, I want to do something a little different, something that your friends, I guarantee you, 99.9%, if not 100% of your friends have never seen. And have heard a little bit about, but not actually anything actual in reality. And I wanted to give you a little presentation about one of the most fundamental things of kashrus, and that is about shechita. I don't know, maybe I don't look like a shechted, I don't have a long beard or pies behind my beard, but I've been a shechted a long time. I've been a shechted for almost over 25 years for sure already. So I go around, I check shechitas, I go around even to Empire and places like that. I'm sure you've heard of those places. And I myself can do the shechita, besides reviewing somebody else and checking somebody else. It's one of the most fundamental things in Judaism, is, as we know, kashrus is based on it. And it's the yesod, it is the source and the basis of almost everything that we do. So I'm going to share with you, and please ask questions, a little bit about the shechita. If there's anything that you have any questions about, I'd like, please feel free to ask. Okay? Everything starts at the source. And the source is the Chumash. Anybody know where shechita is spoken about in the Torah?
Shmini? By Shmini?
Yeah, by what? By karbonos? You talking about by karbonos?
I think so.
Okay.
That's by your
There are such things as sacrificing karbonos, correct? Is that correct? There are some things like that. You have to sacrifice karbonos. And what else? And what else? Anybody else know?
What?
Okay, so let me just share with you a little bit of a what's it called? A pasuk, because this is one of the sources of what's it called? Of the Torah Shabbat Peh. Let's just go that for a second. Torah Shabbat Peh. I think I mentioned this last time when I spoke. If you had to define, this is Torah Shabbat Ksav. Everything that's written is all here. If you had to take us, bring it over here. Watch this. Okay. Torah Shabbat Peh. If you had to discuss what is Torah Shabbat Peh, the oral law, how would you define it? How would you define it? What is it? You learned the mark. You learned the mark before, correct?
Yeah.
What is it? How would you define it?
Torah Shabbat Peh.
Yeah, what is it?
It's something that.
Tell me, I don't know what it is. Make believe I don't know what it is.
Or something that was.
Well, what do you do then?
Something that's in your by heart.
I know, but what is it?
It's Torah.
I know it's Torah. What is it?
Learning.
Everything is learning.
It's.
This is also learning.
It's
Let me just tell you. I just want to.
It's
What did you
second
say?
part of Torah.
Information about what?
Well, everything.
Okay.
The
You're
second
getting
part
there.
of Torah.
You're getting there. What is it?
The second part of Torah.
But what is it? I know it's the second part of Torah, but what is it? You have to tell me. I never learned it. What is it?
Has like laws and dinim.
Yes, very good. But what? Dinam. Go, very
Like,
good. Mishnah, go on.
Like judgment.
Judgments, very good. Excellent.
Like money cases, court cases.
Everything, right? Money, everything's in the Torah. So what it is, Torah Shabbat Peh is the explanation of the Torah Shabbat Ksav. The Torah Shabbat Ksav does not have a lot of detail, at least on the surface. It tells you, eat matzah on Pesach, right? Don't eat chametz. When does it change from chametz to matzah? I mean matzah to chametz. When does it change?
After.
What?
After breaking the
Let's say 18 minutes. You've heard that before?
Yeah.
Where does it say that in the Torah? Nowhere, I promise you. The Torah just says don't eat chametz. Where's that line difference between matzah and chametz? It doesn't say. Okay, it doesn't say. It says keep the Shabbos holy. You know how to keep the Shabbos holy? It doesn't say. It just says keep it holy. It says don't do work. What is work? What is it? See, that's the thing. All these things of 39 malachas, all these things are in Torah Shabbat Peh. All the detail of the 600, how many mitzvahs are there in the Torah? 13. How many are negative? How many are do not do? Very easy to remember. You know it.
265.
365. Very good. Very good. Very good. 365. Easy to remember.
48.
Days of the year is don't do. And the rest, if you have to minus it,
248.
248 is what you're
limb
supposed
of
to
your
do.
body.
Perfect. The limbs on your body. Very good. What's your first name again?
Mayer.
Okay, that's my name. So we know each other. Very good. Anyway, so getting back to the thing, now we understand what Torah Shabbat Peh is. This is could be one of the sources of Torah Shabbat Peh. Because it says here in Devarim, in Parshas Re'eh, listen to the words of the Torah. It says, Ki yarchiv Hashem Elokecha es gevulcha, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu expands your borders, okay? And you're too far away. You hear? You're too far away from Yerushalayim. You can't bring a carbon. I live in America. I live in Baltimore, in Pikesville. Right? V'amarta och lebasar, I want to eat meat. You hear this, man?
Yeah.
I want to eat meat. Listen to the words of the Torah. Because that's what you're interested in. You have a taste for it. Kisav v'nafshcha le'echol basar. Listen to the words. So it says, Ki yircha mimcha makam, if Yerushalayim is too far away from you, which is the place HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose, v'zavachta mi bi'akarcha u'mitzanecha asher nas Hashem lecha ka'asher tzivisicha. Listen to the words, Meir. Listen to the words. You should go shech the animal in Baltimore in the way that I commanded you. Okay? Shech the animal in Baltimore. You can't come to Yerushalayim every time I want to eat meat. And I want to eat
How
meat.
to shech.
What's that?
It doesn't say how to shech.
Exactly. It says the way, but it says the words, the way I commanded you. I don't know. We looked all over the Torah and the 5 books here. It doesn't say anywhere what it is.
When you took Gemara.
That's exactly. That's one of the sources of Torah Shabbat Peh. That there's no way of knowing what I'm about to teach you unless you learn it from somebody. So when you look at me, I want you to look at me in a different way. You know what? You want to know how you're supposed to look at me? I learned it from my Rebbe, like you're learning from your Rebbe. He learned it from his Rebbe. His Rebbe learned it from his Rebbe all the way back to what?
Moshe Rabbeinu.
On Har Sinai. Is that interesting? Mm-hmm. That what I learned, there's no way of learning Shechita, what I'm about to show you, there's no way of learning Shechita and the rules of Shechita, which the Torah says it is commanded, but it doesn't say how to do it, unless you have a Rebbe like I did, Rabbi Stern, Zal Zayin Gesund, who taught me, and his Rebbe taught him. Does that make sense to you? Okay. So this is what I'm going to teach you. If you're asking me, how do I know this? Only because I was taught this. It's the only way I know it. The Gemara talks about it, and I was taught the detail. I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview. All right? So let's share this, me and you. Okay? So first of all, you got to know what an animal looks like. You got to know what to do. Can you pass this down here? Pass it down. There should be 2 there. Give me, okay? Okay? If you want some. You have 2 of there, right? Mm-hmm. So, give me 1 back. You have 2 also? Very good. Just give me back. And these are for you to keep. You can take them home with you, okay? When we're done with it. So first of all, let me just tell you a couple of things that you're looking at here. I wrote it in English. An animal, if you count the amount of ribs that you're looking at, an animal has...
This is a cow?
This is a steer or cow, makes no difference, okay? It's a big animal. An animal has 13 ribs. If you count these ribs, cage, the rib cage, is 13 ribs. We only eat the front of the animal. You hear?
Yeah.
We only eat the front of the animal, which is from the 12, take off 1, the back 1 here, and we only eat the front.
Where'd they get on Nasha?
In the back. We don't eat anything from the back. The Ginanush is along the hip, which is right along here. Right here in the back. This is the hip bones.
Yeah.
Okay? So now, we actually cut the animal in half, and we only eat the front. The front has 5 parts. The 5 parts are the neck, which is called the chuck. Now you know the name. Anytime you hear the word chuck now, you know it's the neck. And we have the brisket, which is the breast. So anytime you hear your mom give you brisket, it's this area. The ribs, rib meat, right? You have a ribeye.
Yeah.
You have rib steak. It's back here. It's the back here. And then you have here in the front is the plate. It's at the bottom, that's what it's called, the plate. It's where the short ribs come from and other areas come from. And then what's left? Look at me. Very good, Mayor. The shoulder.
Shoulder
This part, the shoulder, which is this part right here, the shoulder. Okay? Which is the shoke, the shoulder. So there are 5 parts of the animal. Where do we split it? Remember, we only need how many in the front? How many did I tell you?
5.
No, 12. How much is chuck? How much? Remember, the chuck is the neck. How far back does the neck go till it hits the ribs? So the number is, here it's 5. The first 5 is chuck. The first 5 is brisket. Got that so far? Everybody got that? I want to see if you remember this. You can be tested. First 5 is what? Chuck and brisket, neck and brisket.
Back.
And what's left over?
The back,
Yeah, out of 12?
shoulder.
7. So you have 7 rib and 7 plate. Got it? So we cut this right in half. So far good? Everybody got that? Okay, very good. Let's go to the next part. That's just that's the skeleton. And of course you have the back, which is where all the shilas are. You can see this is the hip.
This one, it says 11, only says 11 large bones. Instead of 13.
There's 13.
No, I said the 11, the large ones.
Talis Gedolos, oh, it sounds.
The Talis Gedolos is 11. Then you have Talis Katanas of 2.
2, okay.
Together is 13. Okay, let's get to the next part. The next part is the inside of the animal past the rib cage. The rib cage is gone. It has inside, and humans are the same thing. There are 2 parts to a person, to a living being. You have your lungs, the chest cavity, and you have where your kishkas are. Where the kishkas, the intestines, very good. The intestines. Well, you're doing great. The whole digestive system. Now, they don't touch each other. Inside, there's a thing called, in English, and you'll see I wrote that. Look right in the middle. Tarpish hakovoid. What is it in English? Right in the middle.
Diaphragm.
The diaphragm. In between the lungs and the kishkas, there's a piece of a skin with meat. It's really muscle. That's how you breathe. It's actually, without the diaphragm being sealed, you cannot
Like
breathe.
a balloon.
Well, it's not a balloon. It's a piece that's about this thick, and it's simply a muscle that allows you to breathe, which I'm not going to explain to you right now how it works, but just realize, main thing is, it is the separation between the and the lungs and the chest cavity, and it goes around in a circle. It starts right here, right here, where your chest cavity comes together, right here. Feel it right there, and it goes on an angle down to where? What's back here? What are the 2 organs back here? In the back of everybody. Say it, exactly, the kidneys. It goes on an angle, same thing by the animal. It goes on an angle from the, you see where the kidneys hang by an animal? The kulia? It goes on an angle between the lung cavity, the chest cavity, and the rest, which holds the kishkas. I want you to know, any of you are a kahanim? You should know something. You need to be listening to this. Because after Mashiach comes, you're going to be doing all this. You have to know where chaylev is in this areas, right here, where it says the diaphragm, right in front of it is a major piece of fat that went on the mizbeach. It's called chaylev v'machasas hakerev. So you have to learn these rules. Eventually you will be in such a school that I'm teaching you right now, but it will be taking you over a year or 2 to learn it all. They used to start teaching the boys earlier because they had to go start learning to do the sacrifices. So get ready, Mayor, when it's going to be your turn.
Okay.
So you're going to be familiar already when you're going to say, I can skip a grade. Yes, Rabbi Shlomo.
Where is the kidney in regard to the Talis Gedolos? Is it further
It's hanging
back?
at the end. It's not even by the talis. Look back on
Right.
the picture. You
So-
see where it is? It's hanging right under. Look where it's positioned.
Right.
It's hanging past the slows.
It's
Okay,
right
so
where
if
it
it's
says
past-
Chuyos L'Lo
Right,
is
in
over
that
here.
area.
Right. So now, if it's over there and we cut the animal after the 12th,
Between the 12th and 13th.
13th, so then it would
The
be
kidneys
tossed
are
out.
left in the back.
It'd be tossed out.
Well, they don't toss it out. They use it for, we don't use it.
We don't, I'm saying, we don't use it.
Right, and kloyas, the kloyas are in a, just to be happen to mention, the kidneys, you don't see kidneys. You see these 2 round things that are totally encased in a big animal with fat about that thick. You can't even see until you open the fat. And that's called the chaylev hakloyas, and that goes on the mizbeach. That's chaylev deraisa. Anyway, getting back to our situation. Okay? So getting back to the diaphragm, because I'm going to show you. Remember about this diaphragm, which is called the what? The tarpish hakovoid. in the Vayikra and by the Karbonos Meir, it's called the Chotzer HaKaved. It is the courtyard of the, what's a kaved? Which organ?
Liver.
Liver! The liver actually hangs on it. So it looks like a house with a garden around it. So it's called the Chotzer HaKaved because the liver hangs on the diaphragm. It actually hangs on it. So around it is this diaphragm. To one side, the liver's on the right side. And the spleen is on the left side. No, you can't see it now. It's on the next one. Next picture, you see it? Look at the next picture. That black line is the diaphragm going on an angle toward the coitus. Everyone see it?
Yeah.
It starts at the base of the chest. You see right here? And it goes on an angle. And you see that the liver with the mora is actually hanging on the diaphragm. On the right side.
How do you
On
get
the
meat
left
and
side?
milk from the
Huh?
animal?
Say again?
How does meat and milk get it from the animal? Like
I
treif?
can hear you.
How do you get meat and milk from the animal? Is that a treif?
You're asking in general why you're allowed to do that? Maybe they're treif?
Yeah.
We're going to answer you later. Very good question, though.
Mayor, this covet, so this entire, the whole length of the animal is the covet, it's a huge organ.
It's a huge organ in a big animal.
Yeah, that was huge.
And it's only on the right side. It only hangs on the right side. So you can imagine, they're only showing you from the right side of the behemoth. On the left, it's only on one side of that tarpish. On the left side, which it doesn't show you, is the tcho, which you see in the next picture. It's on the opposite side, which is the spleen. But let's finish up with this picture. You see the diaphragm. Lungs are on one side, and then you see on the other side is the liver. Now I want you to pay very close attention to how the air gets into the lungs. This thing called a kone. What's a kone in English? What?
Kidney.
No, right in the front. What brings the air in to your lungs?
Windpipe.
Yeah, what's it in English? You know what's called the official name?
Windpipe?
Windpipe, but the legal, the real technical name. Technical name is called the trachea.
Oh, trachea.
The trachea goes into the, see that trachea going in? Okay? Anybody know the esophagus? Very good. Very excellent. The esophagus. Which is in front of which? Which is first? What do I hit first?
That's
The
all.
trachea, you go first.
What's that?
Trachea, that's.
The trachea is first. The veshet starts behind. It starts behind. And then it becomes to the side. So in the beginning, it's like this and this. At the end, it comes side to side as it gets closer to the stomach. Does that make sense to everybody? Anybody understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Up here, it's one behind the other. Trachea, esophagus. That's why on Yom Kippur, if you read next time on Yom Kippur, if you read the what's it called? If you read the avoda, it says that the Kohen Gadol used to shecht most of the trachea and the veshet, rov. He'd hand over the knife to another Kohen, an assistant, because the next avoda that only the Kohen Gadol could do all the avodas, he had to catch the blood. Well, how is it possible to shecht majority of each one if the esophagus is behind the corner? Does that make sense? How can you get, if I have to get to the second one, I'm going to do the complete trachea. Does that make sense? The answer is, if you shecht a little bit closer to the chest, it becomes side by side. It starts off like that, but further down as you get closer, it gets side by side. You can shecht closer to the bottom of the neck, and then you can get majority of both. Yes?
The animal will die once you cut the veshet.
Not correct.
I mean, the conef, right?
Not correct. It's like having a tracheotomy. The animal will just blink there looking at you. You have to cut the two jugulars here. They're further back. The blood that goes to the brain is further back, behind.
I'm saying, when we
The
say,
jugulars, okay, and the carotid arteries, the carotid arteries are back here. Okay, so again,
so the Iker's not cutting the.
but halachically, for us, halachically, you have to have in mind, so listen to me carefully, Meir. When I shech, you have to have in mind to shech both the kana, which is again in English the trachea, the esophagus, the carotid arteries, and the jugulars. Complete severing. Everyone understand that? And then it bleeds out very quickly. because the heart is pumping.
How
It comes
come
out like a
treif?
fountain. Okay, it shoots out from both sides, and the animal
How
passes
does
out.
the animal become treif?
I'll get you in a minute. Right now, let's get one by one. Okay, make sure you understand what I'm saying to you. So, getting back to Rabbi Bayer's question on Yom Kippur, for us, you have to at least minimum cut rov. Rov in English is what? The
Animal?
majority of both the what? The esophagus and the
Thank you.
trachea. The animal's still blinking. Now on Yom Kippur, it's halakhically kosher already. The other kohen, he takes the knife. The kohen gadol gets ready. He finishes it. Pardon me. That's how it was in the time of the Beis Hamikdash. That's how it was done. Any questions on anything I just said in this part? Do you get it? And he's makabel the dam. Basically, the animal had a tracheotomy.
Stam carbon, they would do the entire
They would do the whole thing, but in this case, you had to do kabbalah zadam. Okay? Now that we know this thing, we're going to stop here for a minute with this, and look at me like this. Before we go to Shech, you have to know, what are the signs of a kosher animal? How do you know which are the kosher animals? What does the Torah say? Split?
Hoof and choose cut.
Okay, so let me tell you, how do you say it in the Torah language? Do you know what it says in the Torah?
First is parsa.
Very good, Mayor. The first is parsa. Okay,
Another one.
and the... What's that?
He said Malik.
Maligera. Oh, you said maligera?
Right.
Okay, my first is parsa. You got to chew its cud. Now, what does that mean, chew its cud? That's very nice words. What does it mean?
Each different spits it out like 3 times.
Yeah, very good. How do you know all this? Are you a Shechita?
No.
Oh, you're a kohen. I forgot you're a kohen. It must be in your genes. It must be in your genes. The answer is very simple. We have only one stomach. An animal has 4 stomachs. If you look on the page here, look on the page,
First page.
you'll see, this page right here, you'll see part of it. There's the last page, you'll see the big one, which is called the keres. You see this big one I wrote over here? It's huge. It's huge. This thing is the keres. It's the first stomach. Go back a page, and you'll see smaller stomachs. The hemsis and the cava. Look at the bottom. You see this?
Yeah.
The one that is not showing, let me see if it shows it to you.
It's on the last page.
No, it's on the next page, on the last page, is the Beis HaKoses. So, there are 4 stomachs. The stomach goes from the keres to the Beis HaKoses. It goes from stomach 1, which is the keres, to the Beis HaKoses, which is the second stomach. Go back 1 page to the third stomach, which is the hemsis. And then it goes into the cava, the famous cava. Okay? Now, because an animal eats grass, which is very fibrous, it's very difficult to digest. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, believe it or not, you never checked an animal. I doubt you looked in an animal's mouth. An animal does not have top teeth. We have top teeth and we have bottom teeth. An animal, so we actually cut. With our teeth, we can cut into something. Correct? We can cut something. Does that make sense? An animal, a kosher animal with the split hooves and the, what's it called, myligera, that it only has bottom teeth. It actually tears the grass out. It does not cut the grass. But in the back, it has top and bottom molars that are very sharp. They're pointy like mountains. Very sharp. So what it does, like Mayer said, it chews the grass, very fibrous. I don't know, did you ever try chewing grass?
No.
Okay, don't. Anyway, next, it's not for you. Anyway, it's very difficult and very bitter. I'm sure maybe on Pesach you tried to eat some of these things. And then what it does, it goes down into the first stomach, and then it comes back out from the keres, it comes from the Beis HaKoses, it gets literally squeezed, and it comes back up. You can actually see the food coming back up into its mouth. It chews it again, re-chews it, until it gets fine enough that it can pass into the third stomach, which is called the hemsis. It's amazing how HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates something that it has to get a certain size before it can pass through a filter. Think of a filter with holes that it can pass into the next stomach. It's amazing. It's in the Flores HaBayr. It's unbelievable that God created it that way. They keep chewing it, maybe 3 times, until it gets fine enough that it can pass into the next stomach and then eventually into the 4th stomach. Any questions? That is Ma'ila Geira. What is Mafersis Parsa? It's called split hooves. Okay, is this a split hoof? Is that kosher? Is this kosher? Maybe. It's not good enough. When you look at an animal, when you look at I'll give you some examples of kosher animals. Cows, sheep, goats.
Deer.
How about a pig?
No,
Deer.
Well, it's not kosher, but it has split hooves.
but
It has real split
tried
hooves.
to show off.
Right, exactly. It has split hooves. If you look at it this way, you're going to see the animal looks like that. But that's not good enough. What you have to do is turn it upside down. If you see this, look, like that, it's not kosher. It's got to be split from front to back. Not like the way it is on top. On the bottom, it's split back to front. This split halfway is not good enough. How do we know that? Doesn't say in the Torah, it just says split hooves. How do we know what the split hooves have to look like to be kosher split hooves? Somebody said it earlier, because it says it in the, doesn't say it in the written Torah. Exactly, because it's a detail. Let me show you one. Let me show you one, okay? This is from a steer. Here. Oh my. Here's a real split hoof. This was alive yesterday. It's still twitching a little bit. It's still moving. Now look, you see, it has a, you can see right here, it has an actual joint. It stands like that. Look at it. Everybody see it?
How big was this
Now
animal?
you see how it's split? This is a big one. It's 800 pounds. Yeah, well, in a minute. We can always, we could later on edit, do it.
800 pounds.
Everyone see that?
I'm surprised it doesn't smell.
It smells a lot. Come here.
Oh.
Okay? All right, you ready? And this is washed already. So imagine what it smelled like before. Anyway, see, everyone sees that?
Yeah.
This is not good enough. This is not how you inspect it. You inspect it by turning it upside down. See how it's split?
Yeah.
Front to back.
Yeah.
Everyone see that? See how it's split front to back?
Yeah.
Not the way it is in the front.
That's
This is
how
a
it should
true split hoof. Okay? And it stands just like that. Interestingly, nothing to do with kashrus right now, because nothing in this area affects kashrus. This is, as a matter of fact, in Gemara's language, for those who learn chulin, this is the arkuva hanim kerasim harosh. You got this for free. You bought the head, you got this hoof to make pacha. They would take off the hoofs, and matter of fact, this is from a kosher animal, meaning it was actually found kosher, and someone's going to be using this to make pacha, which is gelatin. Gelatin comes out of these hoofs. They cook them. Well, that's chicken gelatin. Beef gelatin is the best. So beef gelatin is made out of these hoofs. You cook it, and the gelatin comes out. But I want to just show you something interesting. Anyone want to venture to guess what this is sticking out?
It's a vein.
No,
Or
it's not.
artery.
No, it's not. Look how thick it is. You can't even tear it if you wanted to.
It looks like a tendon.
Exactly, it's a tendon. One of the major tendons at the back of your.
It's the child's Achilles tendon.
It's like an Achilles tendon concept. So technically, if I could grab this and move this, if I can grab it, it's not long enough. You would actually see this hoof move. But it's not. It's right now cold, and I can't pull it. I wanted to show it to you, but it's not pulling. If I pull this and grab it good, it would actually. Here we go. And get my hands. I see I'm getting it out. Let me see if I can get. See, there you go. You see? There you go. You'll actually see it. Okay? It's amazing, isn't it? To me, I find it fascinating. If any of you ever become a doctor or a surgeon, I always tell people, this is no different than humans. Anything, I've seen tumors, I've seen cancer, I've seen heart disease in animals. Animals have the same diseases we have. So don't think that this is something unusual. This is exactly what it is. So when you have a tendon that tore, chas v'sholom, realize what you're tearing here. This is very hard to tear. So if you're tearing, and there's more tendons here for individual, there's little tendons right here. These are smaller tendons. I'm taking the major one. You can actually see it moves. You see? This one would move this one, like a puppet, would move other parts of this foot. There's other tendons here. It's sideways, if you got them, okay. This is the real, true Mafersis Parsa. This is what you're supposed to be looking at. Bottom, not top.
See how heavy it is.
Wash your hands. Still bacteria. Okay? Next. Okay. So, what we learned so far, we learned which type of animals are good in the big animals. What animals are good in the birds? What does the Torah say?
It said like three and one in the back or something. 4.
Is that what the Torah says? What are the signs of a kosher bird in the Torah? Anybody? It doesn't say. The Torah takes a chance. The Torah lists every not kosher bird. Not kosher bird. And the rest of the birds in the world are kosher. But we are afraid because maybe we're not translating the Old Hebrew correctly, Lashon HaKodesh. We only eat the birds that we have a Masorah. What does a Masorah mean?
Heritage.
A tradition they handed down to us, a Masorah. So give me examples of birds that we eat.
Chicken,
Chicken,
turkey,
turkey,
Goose.
duck.
duck, goose. No, give me one. Come on.
Just-
One from the
just name
Karbonos.
one.
Give me one from the Karbonos.
He
A
did.
pigeon, a dove.
Dogs with,
Raven.
Huh?
Raven. Raven.
No, raven's a treif bird. Anyway, but the Gemara says there's interesting things that they did like a scientific observation, and they noticed certain things that are universal almost with all the kosher birds versus the not kosher birds. First of all, what you said. Anybody have a bird at home? A parrot? Next time you go to the zoo or something, remember what I'm telling you. Remember what Rabbi Kurcfeld told you, okay? A kosher bird, watch a chicken next time. They all have 4 fingers. A kosher bird, say again,
3.
3 in the front and 1 in the back. A treif bird is 2 in the front, 2 in the back. When it stands, it's 2 in the front, 2 in the back. You got it so far? Next thing that the Gemara makes a scientific analysis, but you can't depend on this because the Torah doesn't mention it, but it mentions it. You will never see a kosher bird hunt other birds. It's not a hunter. When you see chickens eating, they just peck.
Eagles. They hunt.
Exactly. So an eagle is not a kosher bird. It is never a dores. It is not a bird of prey. P-R-E-Y. It doesn't go ahead and prey on other birds. It's just not its style.
Oh.
That's something else they notice. Ducks, it doesn't work like that. Okay, they don't prey on other birds like other hunting birds do. Next thing the Gemara notices. Interesting. It'll never eat out of its feet. Go on YouTube. Do you know what YouTube is? They said you know what you. No, maybe you don't know. I'm sorry. YouTube, and you watch birds how they eat. Eagles, they will grab the fish from the water or some sort of rodent. They'll bring it up to their nest and they hold it in their
Hand.
well, it's not called a hand,
Claws.
in the claws of
Yeah.
it, right? And they'll actually take their very sharp beaks and they'll rip it right out of their hands. They eat out of their hands like we do. Kosher birds just peck, peck, peck. They don't do that. Watch a pigeon next time. It never eats out of its feet, right? Out of its claws. Next thing the Gemara says, another example. The Gemara says 2 more examples, and that is the stomach of a kosher bird. The inside, where the food is inside, is a very rough, like sandpaper. How does it digest? It's very interesting. The inside of a bird's stomach, inside is sandpaper feeling. It feels like sandpaper. And it actually, when it's digesting, it does this. Does that make sense? But that inside, we eat it. We eat pipiklach. It's called pipiklach. That's stomachs. That inside gets peeled off. It's peelable. It's able to be taken out, and we eat the stomachs. And you're able to koilif it, it's called in the Gemara. You're able to peel it. That's another sign of a kosher bird, that the inside of their stomach, okay, the kurkavan, you're able to what? Peel that rough sandpaper-like material.
We eat the part that you peel off or the...
No, we eat the meat, the actual meat part, the stomach part. The last thing is that most kosher birds, not every bird, but they've noticed that most kosher birds have a zephek in their neck. Do you know what a zephek is? It's basically a storage tank. They have a storage tank here, right here in their neck, and they can eat and eat and eat. If they don't need it, it goes into the storage tank. If they can't find food, they can squeeze it out and bring it down the what? What does the food go down? The esophagus. Very good. Perfect. Okay? What are the signs of kosher seafood?
The fins and scales.
Fins and scales. But, again, there's always, you have to know the halacha. Not every scale that looks like a regular fish, everybody knows no lobsters, no shrimp, that's obvious. But there are many fish that look like fish, and they have scales. I'm not talking about the ones that don't have scales, like a shark or a swordfish or some of these others.
Whitefish.
Right. But to be a real kosher scale, just like I showed you, a split hoof has to be from the bottom, not the top. A real kosher scale, it looks like the top of a roof.
Yeah,
It starts by the head, one on top of the other, so the water should flow just like the water flows. That's where humans got the idea of how to make roofs. That you put the tiles one on top of the other, so the water runs from one tile to the other, the same way the fish is done, the same way. But a real scale that is kosher has to be plucked. You know, like you go and take a rose and you just simply pluck it and it just comes right out? That's how a scale is by a kosher fish. It doesn't rip the skin. I once went fishing for Pesach with a group. We had a Pesach program, I was the rabbi, and we went fishing in Cabo San Lucas. We went deep water fishing. And they were catching fish galore. And the Rambam says that one of the mitzvahs is to be boided, to actually inspect the fish for kashrus. It's an actual mitzvah to do that. I told everybody, we have an opportunity to do a mitzvah right now. Let's be boidik. And we found fish, it was like armor. It looked like a kosher fish. We couldn't get those scales off if you tried. They were so attached to you actually ripped the skin in order to, and they were treif. We gave them away to the goyim. They were not kosher fish, even though they had the appearance of a kosher fish. Any questions?
Fins, what about?
And again, how do I know that it has to peel without tearing the skin? You know the answer. How do I know that? Torah doesn't say that. Torah just says scales. Exactly. Very good. You're listening. I tell you, listening.
Fins.
Okay, the fins is just any fins that we know of the fins.
What are some of the animals, what are some of the types of fish that?
Tell them, what type of fish are kosher?
No, that are not.
Salmon.
What's that?
That are not kosher.
And all the ones, the barracudas, catfish, there's a lot.
Talking about the ones that have scales.
Catfish have scales on
They
them?
do not. It's not a kosher
I'm saying,
fish.
the
It has no
ones that have a
scales.
scale that
I don't know the names, so I can't tell you. I'm not familiar enough with this. There's so many
Like a
species. I'm not
sturgeon, is
familiar.
that like a?
Look at Google it.
Like a
It's in Giggle.
Sturgeon, you're
Look
right.
up Giggle.
Sturgeon would have it, right? Like a sturgeon?
Sturgeon is correct. If not-
Yeah, but some sturgeons are kosher. Okay, but anyway, getting back to you get that? Okay, now we're up to Mayor. This you have to listen to. You're going to be a shechted one day in the base of Migdal. Now it's time for the shechita itself. So first you got to know, well, what knife? How do you do the shechita? It doesn't say in the Torah anything about what I'm about to teach you. Where do you shecht? Shecht, okay, where? The Gemara asked this question, not me. You shecht. I don't know if you ever heard a person can cut their wrist and die. And the Gemara asked that. Maybe you cut here in the wrist. People slice their wrist and they die. Chas v'shalom.
Didn't die instantly.
No, but it doesn't make a difference. That's the Gemara asks these questions.
Animals.
Neck.
Where's the shechita? So the Gemara says it's in the makom of the neck. So I told you earlier where on the neck, but where on the neck? Feel your neck.
Where the esophagus lines, right?
What is this right here?
Here.
What is this hard
Throat.
thing? What's this called? The Adam's apple, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's called in our language. It's called the shup hakoiva. If I had brought it into you, do you know what a hamantash looks like?
Yeah.
This is what that looks like. It's in the shape of a hamantash, three
Triangle.
zaitik, like a triangle shape. What's that?
Three-sided.
Yeah, I said it's three-sided, right? So here's one side, and that's why it's called the shup hakoveh. What's koveh in Hebrew?
Neck.
A hat. So it looks like the hats of the settlers, the three-pointed hats, and that's what it looks like. You have the shecht below the daraisa. You have the shecht below the Adam's apple, into the ringlets of the trachea, and which I'm going to, okay, we'll get that, and through the esophagus the way I explained to you. Before you shecht, you have to remember 5 rules. When you shecht in this place, there are 5 rules. You can remember it, right? 5 rules. First of all, there's no shehir. You got to do it in one continuous motion. No stopping till you finish. If you stop for a second, it's no, not treif. It's nevela, which is a different halacha of treif. The difference between nevela and treifa is in halacha is
Two different things.
what is it? What's the difference? Take a guess.
What treif?
One is called a nevela. One is called a treifa. Nevela is anything that died without a proper shechita. It died, but it didn't die with a shechita. It got shot or it died naturally. That's a nevela. Treifa is if it got shechted correctly,
I found
perfect
one.
shechita,
Has
but later
one.
on I found a
More.
defect, something, which I'm going to show you, a defect,
Yeah,
that made it treif.
more.
Does that make sense?
And
That
the
made it
animal is,
treif.
healthy.
Whatever it is, I found a defect of all the 18 different types of defects that you can have. It's very easy to remember. Chai is what?
18.
18. So there are 18 different types of basic defects that make an animal treif. 18 of them. So it's easy to remember. Chai, the opposite of chai, makes it not kosher. Okay, next, yudches things of treifa. So again, nevela is anything that died without a proper shechita, any which way it died, even naturally. And treifa is what?
Anything's done correctly.
But what happened? But I found after,
After,
I found some sort of a defect, something after. Okay, now, so there are 5 rules you have to know. First of all, 1 continuous motion. No stopping till you've done at least majority. Item number 2, you have to shecht in the right place, which I taught you, below the Adam's apple in a certain spot. Okay, there's a certain spot you have to shecht. So you have to shecht in the right place. If you shecht in the wrong place, it's called groma.
Treif is not.
It's considered nevela, because you didn't shecht it right. Nevela. The next thing is the halacha of ikur, which is that it has to be a very sharp knife with no teeth. Do you ever notice when somebody saws wood?
No.
What do you see on the floor?
Dust.
Pieces of the dust.
What is that called in English?
What does?
Dust?
Exactly,
Dust.
sawdust. You can't use one, even if I shecht right, you cannot do that.
Nevela?
What's that?
Nevela?
That's an avela. Because you're tearing the simanim, you're not cutting the simanim. When I take a very sharp knife and I cut, like anytime you cut, you just basically just splitting the thing open. When you take a thing with teeth on it, you're very good word, ripping it.
Chicken.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu said no ripping, only cutting.
Would you cut a chicken?
Same thing with a knife. Same thing. Everything I'm telling you is the same by chicken. Only difference is by fish, there's no halacha like that. You just have to take it out and let it die. There's no special thing. Just fish it, take it out, let it die before you eat it. The next thing, what's that?
Or bop it on the head.
Yeah, bop it on the head. The next thing is, one more time, you have to shecht it in the right place. Right? You have to shecht it in the right place. You have to go ahead and do it in one continuous motion. No stopping. Correct? It can't have any teeth. It's got to be very smooth and sharp, the
And
knife.
nick in it.
No nick in it, no teeth, no nothing like that. No ripping.
After
You use the
it's-
word ripping. No ripping. The next thing is it has to be a cutting motion. If I take a very sharp knife with no teeth, and I simply do like an axe, instead of cutting, I do an axe motion. And I get it all the way through. Perfect, all the way to the backbone. Is it kosher?
Treif.
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 No. Nevela.
Nevela.
Correct. Not a good shechita. It's nevela. Okay? You got it? So therefore, it's got to be a cutting motion, not a chopping motion.
That's nevela.
And the last thing, the 5th one, is midaraisa. I think it's a practical thing. It's called kalada. The area of the shechita cannot be covered. Even if you did the right way, I shechted the right way, I cut it in the right place, I didn't stop, I used the proper knife.
That's
But if I can't see it, it's covered. Kalada means covered. It's a nevela. It's not a kosher shechita. You got to be able to see. I think HaKadosh Baruch Hu
To see
wanted to make
what do you
sure
have to see?
the actual knife. So, meaning the classic case of the Gemara is if I take the knife and I stick it under the skin, above the simanim. I pull this out like this, put it in. So I haven't even touched the simanim yet. And then I start shechting from inside, but it's covered. I can't see it. It's from inside. The animal's in the vela. The Torah says so. That's called halada.
Once the knife is inside, it's always out of view, but I don't get it.
Right, and the Torah says that's also, even if you did a proper shechita.
So what's the proper shechita?
From the outside in.
When you're coming from the outside in,
I see it,
the
as it's
base
opening.
shechita opens up as
I
you're
see.
shechting.
As
You never
opposed to
lose sight of the
sticking it
knife.
in and then.
I can take the extra skin
I understand.
and not even touch the simanim. I can take the extra skin that's hanging on an animal, like this. I don't have a lot of extra skin, Baruch Hashem. But if I did have a lot of extra skin, I could stick it in without touching anything. You agree?
Yes,
And then start cutting.
yes.
The Torah says that's usher. And I think the practical to it, you should see what you're doing. Because you don't see what you're doing. It's covered. So that's called halal. The Raisa, it's one of the halachas. Any questions, everything I said? So now, remember what I'm showing to you is what my Rebbe taught me. And he learned it from his Rebbe. And I learned it from my Rebbe. And so on, all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu. So first of all, let me show you something remarkable. This is a chicken knife. What do you first find remarkable about this knife?
Well,
It's small because it needs to, everything's related to the, relative to the
It's
neck.
like a rectangle.
But what is unusual than your home knives in a rectangle?
yeah.
Exactly. Your home knives all have a what?
It's like
Point.
rounded.
A point. This is called a chalif.
It's straight.
The word, this is a chalif. And the reason why it's brought down, this is called a chalif, because khalifa, okay, chalif, in Gemara language means to switch. Okay, chalif is the word switch. What does this do? It switches an animal from what to what?
Chef to kosher.
Exactly. Edible to, I mean non-edible to
Edible.
edible. From basar, from edom and achai,
Say it like
or whatever it is. I can't eat it. And by doing this, this switches it into kosher. So this is called a chalif. Okay? Anyway, getting back to this, it's called a chalif, and the interesting thing, it may not have a point. No point to this. Therefore, by mistake, I cannot stab the animal. I can only do what?
Got it.
Cut the animal. So that's the first thing. The next thing is, you have to learn how to properly sharpen it, because it has to be chad v'chalak.
After
Sharp, chad is sharp, and chalak means
Smooth.
smooth. Like we even say by
Oh.
behemoths, we call it chalak, smooth. So, how do you make it sharp and smooth? So this is a natural carborundum stone. This is a stone, carborundum.
That's what you use?
What's it
This is
called?
what I use.
What's
It's
it
a
called?
water stone,
What's it called?
carborundum.
Carborundum?
That's what it's called. That's the name, official name. Don't ask me how that came about. But it's called a carborundum. It has a very rough side and a little bit of a smoother side, but only for cutting purposes. Okay? And what I'm going to try to do is to take the sides of the knife and make it as pointy as I can to make it the sharpest I can. But even if I do this properly, it will never cut because it gets very rough from this. The tip gets very rough. It won't cut anything. So this is how you do it. This is what I learned from my Rebbe. And go back to Moshe Rabbeinu, you understand this had to be taught to the people, how to do this. So first of all, you use water. I'm not using water right now because I don't care about this knife, it's my demonstration knife. But I learned how to properly hold it at the right angle, consistently the same. So I'm always holding it the same. I go back and forth, as they say in TV. For those who have TVs, don't do this at home because you can get hurt yourself. I go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you see? And I know when to do how much. And I do the other side the same. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay? Now, when I feel that it is nicely done, and I'm going to show you your first name again. Your first name again?
It's
Yitzi, you see? Can you see how nicely the bevel is? It's a nice, you see? It's pretty much straight. Everyone see that?
Yeah.
Has a nice straight line. You see the bevel? It's called the bevel, where it's starting to bend. Okay, you see that, Mayor?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. I'm going to give you a special class because you're a kohen. All right, next. So I have to teach you. You got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Anyway, see here, I'm not a kohen. So for me, I can chef. That's the only thing I can do in the base of English is only do shechita. I can't do anything else. Anyway, because the Zohar is allowed to chef. Anyway, see here? So here, I do this until I feel I'm ready, whatever that is. Then you take a smooth stone. This happens to be a piece of slate. Same thing you find on expensive roofs. It's an actual natural stone. And then you can hear the difference. This is again with water. Smooth it out. Smooth it out. See? Back and forth. And I know how to do it. I keep it the same way, back and forth. Now, when I'm done with this, I got to check if this knife is finished. Is it what? Chad ve-chalak. Is it sharp and is it smooth and is it smooth? Well, how do you do that? Thank God HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you nails. So I was learned, again, don't try this at home unless you learn how to do it. So we learn how to do, the Gemara's language is atifra va'bisra. We go ahead and we check it on the nail and on the basar. The nail, tifra va'bisra. And the reason why they bring down the svara is because it mimics what you're about to cut. The trachea is very similar to nail material, and the veshet, the esophagus, is very similar to meat. So we're shechting both something that's comparable to nails, which you can cut. Nails are not bone, so the cartilage is very similar. It's soft, just like nails, which you can cut. And the other one is, so I do both. So I take my nail, and I actually run it on the blade to see if it's sharp and smooth. This is not a kosher at all. If I right now shechted a chicken with this knife, it would be nevela. it would be not kosher whatsoever. Okay? Come here for a second. I know you're not nervous, are you? Okay. Do you mind if I come on this side here? Turn around.
That is until you take
Don't-
his
don't
hand
be
to put the
afraid.
knife on it.
I did not start
Get
yesterday.
nervous.
Don't have to worry. I did not start yesterday. What I want you to do is just relax your hand. And I want you to be honest to everybody. Okay? Tell me what you feel. Okay, so concentrate, for a second, close your eyes, and tell me if you can feel the roughness of this knife, okay? First, right there, do you feel that?
Yeah.
See how it's not smooth, right?
Alright.
Here's a little bit smoother. You agree or not?
Yeah.
Go back to this. Feel that. Feel how, okay.
Yeah.
A little smoother, and now, again, rougher. The whole thing is not good, but you feel the difference? You agree with me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, stay here a second. Okay, you're my carbon. Stay here for 1 minute, okay? Next thing.
You're about to be shechted.
You agree with that, right? I can feel it through the handle. Now that's for what size? That's for what type of chickens? The next one's the same shape, and this is what?
For animal.
Mayor, can I just
What-
stop you a second?
A
on
Yeah.
that?
small animal.
Really quick, so I just want to ask a quick question. So a real shechted is checking a knife. The point is not to actually cut into the nail, is it?
Well, it cuts in a little bit, because that's not really sharp.
And then it's all viscera, is the point.
Well, I forgot to do the bistra part, which I'm not going to do on you.
Actually,
That's on tifra. That's on the nail. What I will do is I'll actually have my finger running on the blade. You see this? And I'll check if it's sharp enough. This is not sharp
But how
at
do you-
all because it's not finished.
Do you have to cut yourself?
No.
I let it catch me a little bit. I can't. I'll show it to you in a second. I'll show it to you personally.
You're talking like.
Later on, I'll show you later. This is not nothing. This is not sharp. This is dull
Yes.
because it's not finished. This is my demonstration knife. This one is for the next size, lamb and goats. So you have to do everything proportionate to what you're cutting. I can't cut. I mean, I could theoretically, but it wouldn't be very easy. This is to the size of the neck of a lamb and a goat. Sheep, right. So same thing. I will check it, and this is also not kosher, not even close. This has begimas on it. It's not as bad as that, but it's not close. This would actually make an animal nevela. It would actually make it not usable. But again, look at the nice bevel. You can see I cut it nicely. Let me just show it to everybody. It has a very nice bevel on it. Bevel meaning where it bends. You have to learn how to make it nice and straight. You see how nice and straight that is?
Yeah.
Can you see that, Mayor?
Yeah.
Let me show Rabbi Shulman. You see how nice and straight that is? And you learn how to do that, to keep it nice and straight. And the trick is not to rub only in one spot. The more you rub in a spot, what happens is the more the metal gets used up in that spot, and you get a different looking bevel. You have to keep it consistent. When you're rubbing it down, as it ages, keep it straight. And that's by simply knowing how to keep it consistent. And you have to learn that. Anyway, getting back to this. Oh, hold it. Here's my carbon. 1 second. Tell me the difference between this knife. Shh, give me a second. Okay, not too tight. Just loose. No, I'm just saying down, but not tight. You got it? Tell me how this compares to this knife. It's not kosher, but tell me if you feel anything different. A little smoother there. Trying to see if you can feel the begima. A little rough there, a little right there. You feel? A little bit, not kosher. But you see it's smoother. You agree with me it's smoother? A little rougher there. I want to see if I can get a begima. You can feel the begima. Okay, I don't feel it. Okay, it has begimas on it. Alrighty? So that is for what? What is this for? Sheep, for goats and lambs. Sheep and stuff like that. Okay, now, my good friends, this is for the big ones. This is about 18 inches long. This is steel this is very sharp. This will cut 17 inches of meat in a 1-2 motion. I was telling every time I tell this a true story, I was fixing one of my
17
halachim.
inches.
Long.
Round.
Real long.
Long.
17
Round.
inches.
The neck is like.
No, but you're cutting through it. It's bigger than the neck.
17
It's
inches
wider.
this way.
A neck is tapered. A neck of an animal is wide up here, but it tapers down like this.
Okay.
So you never get back here to the big. Think of your own head, right? A person's own head, right? It's tapered here and it's bigger here. So you never get past the mafrekes, the backbone. So therefore, you're only shechting this part right here, and this sticks out from both sides. Anyway, getting back, this I was once fixing my knife for the next day shechita, and it actually fell
On the floor.
on the floor after I was done with it. So it was fully sharp. It was fully sharp. And it hit me just like that on the way down. It simply hit me like that and it fell down and it put 15 stitches on my knee. 15 stitches. I have a lot of places here to show you my hands that had stitches. Okay? Teaching people and things like
I
that.
really want to be a shofet.
Anyway, this one is very, very smooth and very sharp. This will cut, no, don't worry. Just put your finger away. This one's away, this one out. Okay, got it? Not tight. You got it? Now feel the difference between this one.
He's like he's older.
Give me a second.
That's very good. That's good.
It's kosher.
Yeah.
Feel the difference? Very smooth, right? He said it's kosher. Take a seat. Thank you. Give him a big hand. He didn't shake at all. Usually they shake. Give me a second. Very good. This challah is very good. Anyway, it's stainless steel. This cost about over about $500. Okay, that takes care of the different chalafim, of the different knives. I showed you what you have to do in order to prepare the knife and how to check the knife. I shechted the animal. I did it correctly. I cut in the right spot. I did it the right way. I did everything what I was supposed to do. Now, is the animal able to be eaten? The answer is no. In the slaughterhouse, the hide gets taken off, and then they open up the stomach. This area right here. They drop the kishkas. They drop the kishkas, and after they drop the kishkas, the kishka cavity is open, right? What do I see right away? The diaphragm. Remember, there was a piece of skin that separates between the kishkas and which part? The chest cavity. And what I do is I stick my hand, I cut open the diaphragm, and I stick my hands into the lung cavity, and I check the lungs blindly. And I had to learn how to do that. To check the complete area inside the animal blindly without looking at it. So we first do a bedikas pnim, we do an inspection, internal inspection, and then I do an external inspection. Internal with my hand blindly, I feel around in its natural state. Okay, and the reason why we check the lungs specifically is because most of the treifs that we spoke about, how many treifs are there?
18.
No?
18.
18, good, very good. 18 different opportunities. Most of those that can make a treif are in the lung area. So, halachically, we have to go ahead and check the lung.
So what's the start? Why does it have to be inside the dafka first?
Because that's where you don't want to disconnect anything. You want to find it if I.
Are there treifs that have to do with the connections?
Yes, the circus. So there are different types of adhesions. You know, when you get a cut on your hand, you have a scabbing. Inside the lungs, a scab. If you cut yourself, chas v'shalom, you get a scab. But inside the lung cavity, it scabs but in a different way, and that's called the sircha. Okay? So let me show you what a lung looks like. This is, yesterday this animal was alive.
It's a lunch.
This is what I want. Can you do me a favor, Rabbi? Can you do me inside here? Just one second. Inside here there's a knife, a regular knife. You'll see with a brown handle, somewhere in there.
This is from the same animal then?
There it is. Yeah,
Rabbi
you can pull it out for me? I don't want to touch
Rabbi
it.
Kurcfeld, this is from the foot animal?
I don't know. That I can't.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you so much. So you see all this? Take a look at all this. So first of all, this is the lung. So you can come here, don't be afraid. Here, can anybody guess what was right in the middle of the lung in this case?
Heart?
The heart, very good. This is the top of the heart. The heart is encased inside a kis halev. The okay, the chamber here, the heart is encased in this. See right here, they split it open. Because people don't realize that the lungs, besides your breathing apparatus, you ever notice when you exhale, what's the temperature of the air coming out? Feel it. What is it? Exactly. So the air, the rhea, it's called the rhea, the lung, also is used as a radiator, thank you, also is used as a radiator for what? To cool down the heart. To cool down the heart. It takes in cold air, exhales hot air. A rhea has, this is the head, right here. So remember I told you about the trachea? HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the flaws. It's amazing. Look at this. This is the trachea. Do you notice that it stays open? It's like an accordion. It has ringlets. I'll show you. You see the ringlets that you feel on your neck? Okay, I'm going to open up. Look. See these ringlets? Look. Give me a second. No, I'm not cutting the rings of the knife, that's dull. Okay, here. There's ringlets. I cut right, you're right, in between the ring, you're right. I cut, you see how I cut it? There's a ringlet. But look at it, it's only halfway. It's a U shape. On the top, it is just material right here. It's material right here. There's no ringlet, it's not complete. The first ring, which I don't have, is the what do you call it? That is the ringlet, which is, it's called the tabas. Tabas means ring. Tabas hagadola, and that is a complete ring, and it's almost bone-like. The rest of these, as you see, are cartilage. They're very soft, and that's like the nail. And you see, it stays open. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that the trachea stays open at all times. It can never collapse. While the esophagus, when you eat, it's a muscle. It does like toothpaste. It shrinks behind the food, and what does it do? It forces the food into the stomach. Now, this is the right side. This is the left side. An animal has, look at this, 3 small unois. Okay? Here, 1, 2, this is one big one. This is called mispatzelas, the emtsoi, and the aruka va'ava. Okay, because it's you see it's 3-shaped. Instead of this is being pointy, see how this is flat and pointy? And this is more tri-shaped. You see how it's tri-shaped? This is called aruka va'ava. This is called the mitzpatzelas because there's no rhyme and reason to what shape it is. Every animal is different. It's like squishing something and it just squishes out. And then, so you have over here 3 lobes on the right side. See that? Small lobes. And you have 1 big lobe on the right side at the bottom. You see it's 1 big lobe. The left side has just the opposite. Look at the left side. Okay? And the problem is, I'll show you something in a second. It has 2 lobes, 1, 2, and 1 big lobe here at the bottom. So it has 2 lobes on the right, on the left, with 1 big one, 3 lobes on the right with 1 big one. And in the middle is 1 more, and it's called a varda, because it has a shape, it's called like a verid, like a flower, like a rose, and it's stuck inside its own kiss, in its own pocket. You see that? It sits in its own pocket like that. Everyone see it? And the actual, when you do the thing. So when I do the inspection, I do this blindly. And I'll go inside the animal, it's upside down, and I'll go through all this and feel everything. This is treif. I don't want to tear it because I have to show it to somebody else after. But these things, all these connections that you see here to the fat, you see how it's connected to the fat? Here. See how this is loose and it's only connected at the trachea. You see how this is loose? It's only connected here. Here's the sympon. Here's the actual bronchial tube. That it's coming off the main shirish, the main trachea. And you see it's connected right over there. That's the bronchial tube. You can see a little bit of it. Is that it? So that is kosher. This is treif. This should never be. This side is terribly treif. That's why I couldn't even show it to you. Look how it's totally connected to the fat. I can't even separate this una, this lobe, from the fat. Let me show you the difference. I'm going to show you a kosher one. Watch yourself. And then you'll see the difference. This one's kosher. In fact, it has a star K tag on it. Watch. Everyone look at this one and compare it. Same right side, same left side. No connection. Look, only by the trachea. See? Look, 1, 2. Nicely beautiful. This is Bet Yosef. Anybody here Sephardi?
No.
Okay. Okay, you're Sephardi. Bet Yosef, you can eat this. Bet Yosef, look. 1. It's only connected where it is at the thing. 1, 2, 3. The Varda. Here's the nice Varda. I told you it goes in the kiss. Here's the Varda on the right side. And here, let's look at the left side. Here it's all connected. You see how it's all connected to the fat? See all this stuff here? That's an adhesion. Look at this one. Nice and loose. Nice and loose. Everything beautiful. See how nice? And here's the lobe. See how beautiful that looks? Now, any questions on anything I've shown you?
Really gorgeous.
The fact that this is a lighter color than this.
Nothing.
It's nothing.
It just has to do with air. The thing, even though it's brown, it'll turn beautiful pink, healthy pink, as the thing fills with total air. Okay, so this is. I wish I could blow it up for you, but I don't want to damage this. Once the air gets in there, this whole brown and black will be completely gone. All right? Anyway, so that's what I do. I do an external inspection. And the external inspection is, I look at it and I check it to make sure everything's good and so on and so forth. Once the animal is kosher it gets tagged as kosher, and all the parts get tagged as kosher. The parts get tagged as kosher. It goes to the butcher store like Shlomo or Wasserman, where it's got to be treifed, where certain fats, like I showed you, have to be taken out. Certain veins have to be taken out. Then the meat is now soaked. Anybody know how long you have to soak meat before you salt it? Half hour. Remember that. Half hour the meat gets what? Soaked. Then it gets salted with very coarse salt. And the salt is left on it for an hour. Soaking for a half hour,
And salt for an hour.
or left in salt for an hour, and then you have to wash it very well 3 times. Now, if you still have the energy after all that shechita and betik and everything else, you can go ahead and you can now go cook it and eat it. All right? Anyone have any questions about anything?